So It Chapter 2 is finally out, and I think we're all collectively thinking the same thing. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is Molly. 2 years ago, we got the first proper theatrical adaptation of Stephen King's mammoth novel, It, and I fell in love with it. I had never read the book before. I have never seen the 1990 miniseries prior to watching 2017's It, but I went into this movie and I fell in love with it. So, needless to say, I had high expectations for It Chapter 2, and unfortunately, it's just fine. The biggest problem with It Chapter 2 is that it has a very, very strange narrative structure. The movie is constantly intercutting between flashbacks from the characters when they were as kids, and the weird thing about these flashbacks is this is footage that was not even in 2017's It. And there is some weird CGI de-aging, along with, I believe, some pitching to make some of the actors sound younger than they really were. So the movie constantly shifts between these flashbacks and the present day timeline as adults. And the reason this is a problem is because the best part of this movie is, in fact, the characters. Andy Muschietti and his filmmaking crew did a fantastic job of casting the older versions of these characters. Each and every one of them truly feels like the older version of the characters we were introduced to in 2017's It. And I cannot stress this enough. The characters are the best part about this movie, but for some reason, the movie decides to split them up. This is a long movie, 2 hours and 49 minutes, and the movie definitely feels its length, especially in the middle during the second act, when each character goes off on their own in this sort of Horcrux-esque hunt where they have to find some little token that they need to sacrifice for the ritual of Chud in order to defeat It. And it's this part of the movie that I think really fails the movie, because breaking up these characters was not a good idea. There are some definite standouts in the cast, with Bill Hader being the obvious one. He brings some much needed levity to the movie, and he truly is the performance that you're going to remember. He is hilarious, charming. You'll remember Bill Hader's performance in this movie. And James Ransone as well, who played the older version of Eddie Kaspbrak. Fantastic job. Did a great job of capturing the spirit of that character, and he really serves as the heart of this film. I do think James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain were great castings as well, but their characters just weren't given anything to do. I feel like if their characters were more well developed and fleshed out, they definitely would have had standout performances, but because of the screenplay, their characters were just sort of there. And I feel like the true potential of the actors was not allowed to shine through, and that's upsetting. The narrative structure of It is weird. The decision to isolate the characters is weird, but there is some truly fantastic filmmaking in this movie. Andy Muschietti continues to prove that he is a great director. There are some very impressive set pieces in this movie. Very dynamic camera work makes a lot of things so much more interesting. It's shot with so much flair. There are some great shots in this movie, and the camera work is truly inventive in some sequences. And I really appreciated that fact. I think the filmmaking made this movie a lot more interesting than it actually was. Now, we all know the adult part of It is actually the most boring part, because I did go and read the novel after absolutely adoring the first It in 2017, and the adult part was boring, and I was kind of worried about how Muschietti and his crew would handle the substance in that part of the book, because it's just not as interesting, and it gets weird with all the cosmic stuff, Maturin, the ritual of Chud, and they kind of included some of it, a lot of it they excluded. And while I was watching the movie, I kind of just found myself sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, that was in the book, or that wasn't in the book. And Unfortunately, I just think that It Chapter 2 did not live up to the heights of its predecessor. It does a great job of capturing the same tone, it does a great job with the characters, but unfortunately, there was not enough emphasis put on those characters, as they are the true heart of this film, and the decision to separate them, along with the very strange narrative structure and the screenplay of this movie, I think ultimately held this movie back. I would love to see a supercut of this movie along with 2017's It. Give me a 5 hour cut of It and It Chapter 2 structured like the book. I would love to watch that. I would sit through that. I think it would be a much better movie, and put back all the scenes that they cut out from It Chapter 2, because I'm pretty sure that there were more scenes with the main cast as adults that were left on the cutting room floor. Give me that movie. Give me that supercut, because I feel like that movie is probably better. If I were to view it as a singular project, similar to how Infinity War and Endgame complement each other, this would be a great movie. But I don't think It Chapter 2 stands alone as well as It. The story is not nearly as streamlined, sufficient, and just succinct as the first It, and that's really disappointing. That being said, I do recommend It Chapter 2 to anybody who enjoyed the first movie, because it does capture the same tone and aesthetic as the first movie, and that is very unique. So, if you want to tell me how wrong I am, if you want to tell me the movie was terrible, if you want to tell me it was great, that is well within your right. So feel free to do so in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time